All right, now, as it always is on Mondays, it is time for my new and improved Top 10 Major League Baseball Power Rankings. We got one newcomer back into the Power Rankings this week. We got a lot of the same, as once you get close to the halfway point in the year, you know, things probably aren't going to shift around too drastically throughout the week, but we did have a little bit of movement this week, and we will start with number 10 on my Power Rankings this week. I have the Los Angeles Dodgers, who beat the Houston Astros in that series, ended up winning 2 of 3, lost on Sunday, but had a very good week, which ultimately culminated in that win against the Houston Astros. They're 43-34. They dropped out for 1 week. They were out of the Power Rankings for 1 week because they deserved to be out. They were not playing good baseball, but they do now. They're back to playing well. Freddie Freeman with his 2,000th hit on Sunday. Congrats to Freddie Freeman, who, by the way, I feel like right now, if his career ended, which hopefully it doesn't, thank God it's not ending, I think he's a Hall of Famer if all is said and done right now. Congrats to Freddie Freeman on 2,000 and to the Dodgers on a good week. They're here at number 10. Moving on to number 9. The Cincinnati Reds up 1 from number 10. They're 41-37. So, let me explain. They end up losing the series to the Atlanta Braves, continued their winning streak, though, until Saturday. So the winning streak got to 12 in a row, end up losing to the Atlanta Braves. And I honestly think I walked away from that series more impressed with the Reds than I did less impressed. Because the Braves, one of the best teams in baseball, the best team in the National League, one of the best teams in the league, and they go into Cincinnati for what looked like to become a juggernaut series against a really good team, the Atlanta Braves, against the new and improved and exciting Cincinnati Reds and Elly De La Cruz, and the Cincinnati Reds held every bit of their own. And it came down to the Sunday game. The Reds were 90 feet away from tying up that game and winning, and that was the rubber match of the series. So Reds continue the winning streak this week, ended up losing for the first time on Saturday, for the first time in 2 weeks. I walked away really impressed with this team. I love watching the Cincinnati Reds. This weekend series against the Atlanta Braves, the highest attendance for a series in Great American Ballpark history. I love the Reds, and so do all of the Reds fans and all of Cincinnati. They've been a blast to watch. They're at number 9, up 1. Let's move on to number 8 on this week's Power Rankings, the Philadelphia Phillies. Up also 1 from where they were last week. Beat the Mets in a weekend series. They are 40-37. Now, 40-37 doesn't jump off the page at you, but, you know, we're talking 2 weeks ago. They were under 500. They were not looking good. And then they go on that win streak. I believe they won 6 in a row. Beat the Mets in that weekend series. Still playing good baseball. They're 40-37 and at number 8 on this week's Power Rankings. Moving on to number 7. Also up 1 spot, the San Francisco Giants. 44-34 are the Giants, playing really, really good baseball right now. Now, they have the Diamondbacks come to town, do really well against the Diamondbacks, end up losing that Sunday game, but win the series. They've been winning a lot of series of late. Also, there's a winning streak theme with a lot of these teams. I think the Dodgers got to 4 this week. Reds got to 12. I think the Giants got to like 8. I don't know the exact number there, but a win streak nonetheless, as well as the Phillies had gone on a win streak as well. So Giants are up 1, playing really good baseball. I know not a lot of people believed in this team a lot at the start of the season. Everybody wanted to talk about the Dodgers, wanted to talk about the Padres. Nobody talking about the fighting snakes down in Arizona. Nobody talking about the Giants, but here they both are. Well, spoiler, I said both. But here's one of them. The Giants are here at number 7, up 1. Moving on to number 6 on this week's Power Rankings, the Miami Marlins. Staying the same, 45-34, and it's time we have a conversation about Yuri Perez, who is the youngest pitcher in baseball and one of the most dominant pitchers in the game of baseball right now. This pitching staff is dominant, and at some point, Sandy Alcantara is going to turn it around and become the NL Cy Young Award winner that he was last year and pitch as well. I obviously don't think he can get to the Cy Young at this point this year. It's been a tough start to the season. Of course, we're only halfway through. He could dominate in the second half. But I do believe he's going to turn it around, and this pitching staff that's already been really good is only going to continue to get better. On top of Luis Arraez, who's hitting 400. It's the latest into the season a player has hit 400 since Nomar Garciaparra. That's how long it has been. The Marlins are 45-34. Put some respect on their name. Moving on to number 5. At number 5, we have the Texas Rangers, 47-30. End up losing Sunday to the Yankees. Not their best series there, but I still believe this team is very good. Corey Seager and Marcus Semien up the middle are arguably the best double play combo in the game of baseball offensively. Not saying defensively, but offensively, they might be the best middle infielder in the game of baseball. Josh Young over at third base. The entire infield rakes. Nathaniel Lowe, Marcus Semien, Corey Seager, Josh Young, Jonah Heim behind the plate. These guys are the real deal. They do have pitching issues. So they need to figure it out. You can see right now the Rangers are at that point in the year where they got off to the great start, and now they're at a point where they're playing okay. They're kind of treading water right now, but you got some teams behind you that are creeping up a little bit, and you can't be treading water for much longer. So I think the time is now. I know a lot of people would say it's way too early to start making trades. When you have a glaring issue like the Rangers do in your bullpen, and you also need another starter or two, go address it. Get it done now so that you don't go on a losing streak this point in the season. And next thing you know, the Angels have passed you in the division. The Astros have passed you in the division. Take advantage of the start to the year. I do believe this offense is capable of winning a World Series. Will the pitching allow them to get there? As of right now, I don't believe so. But add to that, and you never know. They're 47-30 and staying put at number 5. Moving on to number 4 in this week's Power Rankings, we have the Arizona Diamondbacks, 47-32. What more can I say about this team that I haven't already said? I love these guys. The Snakes are fun. They're exciting. Their outfield has been dubbed the no-fly zone. You got Corbin Carroll. You got Alec Thomas. You got Jake McCarthy. They're so fast. They're so good defensively. Corbin Carroll is going to get MVP votes. He's a stud. They're pitching very well. Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly. They need pitching help. Again, similar to with the Texas Rangers. A lot of these teams that we're seeing on the top 10 this week and the last couple of weeks are smaller market teams, mid-market teams. So we don't see these teams that have, they're not all complete. They're not all ready to win a World Series. But that's what I think is exciting about the game of baseball this year. You have so many of these teams on the list that you would never expect. Let's look at it right now. Reds, Phillies, Giants to a degree, Marlins, Rangers, Diamondbacks. Who saw this coming? All of these teams do have holes that they need to fill, but they're all playing very well. The Diamondbacks are one of those. I would just love to see them add a top-tier starter into their rotation at the trade deadline. I don't know if there's going to be one available, but I'd love to see them add one. They're at number 4. Next up, number 3, also staying put, we got the Baltimore Orioles, 47-29. The O's are fun. Camden Yards is a blast. I swear, I need to get to Camden Yards before this season ends. And I want to sit out in the bird bath where when they have an extra base hit, they spray water on everybody, and they do what the players are doing. It's an absolute blast. They're getting healthy now. Cedric Mullins, Anthony Santander's hitting better. This team is legit. Again, as with every other team, it's the theme of the top 10 these days. There are holes. Maybe nobody expected the Orioles to be number 3 in the power rankings at the end of June. Nobody did. But I think people expected them to be competitive this year. But this competitive, I don't know. They have their holes. They need to go address those. As my good friend and Hall of Famer John Smoltz told me just a couple of weeks ago, he's not a big fan of teams like believing in their window and playing the long game. When you have a chance to win a title, go make it happen. You know, there's no guarantee, and nobody knows that better than him and that Braves team that won all those division titles in a row and went to all those playoffs and had so many playoff runs and walked away with 1 World Series. When you have a chance, when you have an opportunity, buy all in and make it happen. And the Orioles are in that position right now. Let's move on to number 2. At number 2 on the power rankings, we have the Atlanta Braves, who I am getting very, very close to moving the Braves up to the number 1 in the power rankings. They're 50-27. They've won 9 of their last 10 games. They won that series against the Reds, who were the hottest team on planet Earth. The Braves have no holes. More than everybody else in these power rankings, they're that team that was supposed to be there and is there. You know, everybody was expecting with the power rankings at this point in the year for it to be the Braves and the Padres and the Dodgers and the Mets and the Yankees and the Cardinals. The Braves are the one team that has lived up to their expectations this year as high as they were. I predicted the Braves to be in the World Series this year, and they are currently playing like they are a World Series champion team. 50-27, but they are staying in the same spot as they were last week, though, I will add, perhaps getting closer and closer and closing that gap to the #1 spot, which #1 again on this week's Power Rankings is the Tampa Bay Rays, who are 54-27 and no doubt a very, very good baseball team. But they are just over the last week to 2 weeks playing, over the last week, 10 days we'll say, 10 games, playing 500 baseball, which is it enough to bump them out of the Power Rankings right now? No, because they still have the best record in baseball by about 4 games. But that gap is closing, and it is closing fast. But this team, they're the real deal. I have a lot of respect for the way that Kevin Cash handled the Wander Franco situation and benching the 22-year-old. He's the phenom. He's the future of the shortstop position for the Tampa Bay Rays. And what he did by benching him for a couple of games and publicly didn't really say much. We don't really know everything that was going on. But basically, I'm paraphrasing here, basically said he needs to grow up and handle his emotions better, and he's going to bench him for a couple days, and hopefully he figures it out. Did he? Well, time will tell, but he did hit a homer in his first game back, which will help everybody involved, including the Rays. And they are here at #1, rounding out this week's top 10 Major League Baseball Power Rankings.